Oh, good morning, my friends. It is a beautiful morning, and today I wanted to talk to you about a couple of stuff. First of all, I have been talking in some of my lesson videos about the shredder scale, which is not really a scale. I wanted to go over that just a minute so we're clear on what it is, but it's a box shape, 3 notes per string. And so if I do it in the key of C, I'll start right here. And I like to teach in the key of C because if we're thinking of notes, it's all natural notes, no sharps or flats. It makes it a little bit easier to contemplate or to absorb the principle of the lick right from the beginning, and then you can change it to other keys. So if we start on C right here on the 6th string, 8th fret, we're doing 3 notes per string. So on the 6th string, it'll be 8, 10, 12, and then on the which is C, D, E, and then we go to F on the 5th string, so it'll be 8, 10, 12, which is F, G, and A, and then we switch to B on the next string, which is on the 9th fret, and we'll go 9, 10, 12, which is B, C, and D, then we go E on the next string, which is, again, the 9th fret, 9, 10, 12, which are notes E, F, and G, and then we go to G again on the 2nd string, which is on the 8th fret, so we go 8, 10, 12. And right there is where it gets a little hinky because we're doing E, F, G, then we hit G again. And we do that because it fits our hand. So here we go, 8, 10, 12, which is G, A, B, and then on the 1st string we go C, D, E, 8, 10, 12. So here's our shredder scale. Now you can hear that sounds funny right there, but whenever you're playing, it's not necessarily a problem most of the time, especially whenever you're trying to play fast. Let me make it clear right here. I call this the shredder scale or the shredder box. I should actually call it the shredder box, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But you don't have to be a shredder to play it. It doesn't matter. You can use the same pattern and play very slow and melodic. And it still works just as well. So it doesn't have to be played fast. It just kind of fits your hand well. And guitar players that are shredders tend to like those 3 notes per string scales. They work on so many levels, so many ways to approach it. But I wanted to talk to you about theory. And this is a good example of how I approach theory. Okay, so I say this is not actually a scale. I usually try to call it a shredder box because since we duplicate that G note going E, F, G, G, it's not what we typically think of in theory as a scale or what we academically think of. So whenever we're talking about theory, a lot of people make the mistake that theory is a set of hard rules that you have to live and die by if you want to learn theory. And therefore, because people think that, a lot of times people think theory is limiting and it defines what they can actually play and not play. That's not what theory is. Theory is the language you use to define what we have done. And I give that box the name shredder box, and it's my name, and the reason I give it to it is because I think names are important. It defines what's being done. And so we give everything a name. And that is the purpose of theory. We give things names so we can communicate to each other. We can communicate what has been done. It is not a set of live and die by rules. So I'll hear players say all the time that, well, according to theory, this is not correct. And that is a false statement. If it's just that you haven't learned the theory that explains what has been done yet. For instance, if you're playing in the key of C and you go to an A flat, to a B flat, to a C chord, like say Elton John does that type of stuff all the time. And people say, well, that's wrong. That's not in the key. That's theoretically, that's wrong. Not really, because they're doing what is accepted in theory a lot. They're going to the parallel minor key, which is perfectly accepted in theory. Just most people haven't learned to do that yet. And there's so many ways to approach theory like that, that is beyond what we normally think. So I tend to, whenever I'm teaching, I will talk to my students about academic theory and practical theory. And again, this scale is a good example of that, because it's not really a scale. But whenever we play it as a scale. So academically, we can look at this scale and say, well, that's not a C major scale in the proper sense of the word. But whenever we're playing it on our guitar, the practical application is it works great. And for all intents and purposes, it is a C major scale. If you're playing it over a C major chord progression, it's going to be great. And we can look at a lot of different things like that. So the main purpose of this lesson is to emphasize that theory is wonderful. Theory is a way to communicate what we've been doing. It will not limit you. In fact, it will open up horizons if you're willing to accept it. But not go in with the attitude, well, theory is a set of rules. It starts out that way. I mean, there's a joke about in first year theory at a college level, can I do this? Absolutely not. Second year theory, can I do this? Well, maybe under the right circumstances. And third year theory, can I do this? Sure, whatever you want. And that's kind of the way theory is. We are learning to communicate level at a time, a level at a time. That's why it seems like it's harsh and set rules. And so I hope more of you are open to theory and understand you already know theory to a certain extent. If you say that's a G chord, guess what? That's theory. You've explained what you've been doing. I'll see people say all the time, I know my pentatonic scale, but I don't know any theory. Yeah, you did. You just called it the pentatonic scale. Or even if you call it the A minor pentatonic scale, you're even doing more theory. Anytime you give a name to something, especially a name that other musicians are able to relate to, it is theory. And again, if we approach it with the idea, okay, there's the academic theory, and that's for the purpose of learning and expanding our vocabulary, and there's a practical application which opens a lot more doors for us, it becomes really fun. Okay, I will see you next time around. Have a great day.